Have you ever wondered if you should follow your passion or wait for a clear vision for your life? That was the challenge and the question that I was wrestling with many times throughout my life. And one within the last 5 to 10 years was one of, should I stay at my comfortable job, which I had felt like I had golden handcuffs, or pursue my passion to start my own business, serving my clients the way I felt like they really deserve to be served. And that's a question that you might be asking yourself. Should I pursue my passions or wait for a clear vision for your life? And I just wanted to take this time to just talk about really what it's like and how do we go about wrestling with these two questions, and which one do we do first if we do choose to do both, one or the other. What is vision? Vision is a clear call that you know what you want, what you were made for, and the kind of life that you were called to lead. As a Christian, God calls us to a certain vision for our life. And many times that vision is bigger than we could possibly even imagine ourselves, so it is scary. Think about when God called Moses to lead the people. It was bigger than he ever wanted to, and it was scary. And he many times said, I don't want this, I'm not adequate. He wrestled with imposter syndrome, I'm sure, and just inadequacy. Many times when God calls us to a vision, or we see other people pursuing a vision, we think, man, if I only had that kind of courage, that I could pursue that kind of vision too. But I'm not made that way. And many times we just write ourselves off with full of discouragement and just sit on the sidelines and just watch other people as they pursue the vision for their life. And that's really the sad thing. And one of the reasons why I started this channel was to encourage each one of you, as well as encouraging myself, that God has a vision for our lives. And He wants us to thrive as we walk in that vision. One of the things that I've also realized is that He's given us passions. And so what is passions? And how do we find that? Passions are the things that bring wind in our sails. It fills us up with energy. And when we do that thing, we can't help but to think, wow, I was made for that. And so when we do the thing that we're passionate about, we think about, okay, how could I make a living doing that thing? And that's where it begins to fall apart, because many times the passion that we have doesn't necessarily correspond to how we're gonna make an income to take care of the expenses in our lives and to make a living, per se. And that's where many times we put our passions off to the side and we just pursue a job just to pay the bills and to make ends meet. And that's one of the saddest things that many of us struggle with, is just doing work to pay the bills so that we can live. And then many times we think, once I'm retired, then I'll pursue my passions. But the honest reality is we don't know how long we're gonna be here on earth. We might live a long life, or we might not be here next year. And that's the challenge, is we don't know how long we're gonna be here. So how do we bring the two together? How do we find a vision for ourselves and discover a vision for ourselves, but also to fan into flames the passions that we have been given to ourselves? And the one interesting thing to think about our passions are unique to us. Many times, people closest to us, your friends, your family, maybe even your spouse or your significant other, their passions are going to be different from yours. And so we can't wait for other people to validate and confirm, yes, you should pursue your passions, because they can't empathize with the passions that we have and we want to live out. And so that's the challenge also, is we can't look to other people to affirm or confirm moving towards pursuing those passions. Some other common misconceptions related to passions and our vision is that we might think, if I only pursue my passions, then it'll all work out. That may not be true. And so we can't just pursue our passions. Another misconception is related to vision. I'm not gonna do anything, I'm not gonna take that step until my vision for my life is clear. And that's also a difficult thing, because we may never have that perfectly clear vision for our life, knowing exactly step by step how to move towards that vision. The reality is, either one of those, if they aren't balanced, can be very dangerous and can leave us either pursuing something aimlessly because we're passionate about it, all the while we may not be able to make a living and cover the bills. And at the same time, if we rely solely on vision, we may never move at all. And leaving us in a job that we just do not like and dread going to work. So how do we begin to think through these things? Here are some practical steps that you can take to identify a vision for your life and pursue a passion for your life. For your vision, just find some quiet time alone with God and ask Him, what is your call for my life? How have you made me? Where are you leaning me towards? And then write those things down. This is not the time to critique it. It's not the time to analyze how you're going to do those things. It's just whatever comes to mind, those first few things, just write it down, even if they're little whispers of, this is what I think you should do. And begin to just put those in front of you. And then the next thing I encourage you to do is to pray about it and ask God, can you continue to make it real, whether this is what you want me to do or not? As it relates to practical ways you can find and discover your passions, I encourage you to think about your life, however old you are, and to ask yourself, what are the things that fill my cup, that put wind in my sails, that energize me? Things that if you could do this every day, you would love to do it every day. For me, one of the things that I've identified long ago, but I kept on pushing it down because it wasn't in line with the career that I was in, was I love to serve other people. I love to help other people. Customer service was a very important part of who I am and what I love to do. It just energized me. I remember even as a young teenager working at our family's grocery store, and I was working with my grandma, and she continued to share with me and instill in me, the customer's always right. But little did I know that I actually had a passion to serve my customers. I would love to help my elderly customers push out their shopping carts and unload their shopping bags into their car, or carry that bag of rice for a customer. Love to serve them. Little later on in life, I realized that I love to help identify, listen, and learn about some of my customers' problems in my profession as a consultant. Learn about their challenges with their business, what their goals are, and what are the barriers to getting to those goals, and beginning to figure out ways to solve their problems. A combination of problem solving and with the heart of customer service were two of the passions that I buried long ago because it wasn't in line with my career trajectory and the things that were needed as in my role as a program manager in software development. I didn't need those things. I just needed to be technical and just create the documents that were needed for my developers. And so those were two passions that I have continued to take with me. And I almost view those as tools in my tool belt now. And everywhere that God takes me, I have these tools and I continue to use it. Whether it's at my church, whether it's with my business, whether it's with our nonprofit, there's tools that I use serving my customer and solving problems. And one of the other passions that I have is creativity. And so those three things, interestingly, and it's not by mistake because God is in control of, and He's the chief designer, but loving to serve my customers, solve their problems creatively are the things that put wind in my sails, fill up my cup. So I encourage you to look back on your life and not critique it and say, yep, nope, this is not a passion because it's not in line with your current vocation. And just identify it and begin to take steps to fan those into flames, because those are very important. Now you can think of a vision as the compass direction for your life, where you should head. But the passion is the thing that fuels you and moves you towards that direction to accomplish and get towards your vision. So your passion is a fuel and vision is the compass direction. The other thing that I want to encourage you to do is think about your vision. Many times our vision is too small in our own lives. Many times we are afraid to fail, and so we limit our vision. But my encouragement to you is to make sure that that vision is large enough where you can serve other people through that vision. And the reason why you want this vision to be larger than yourself so that you can serve others and help bless other people is that will be the fuel that keeps you going and satisfies you, because that's the way God made us. He made us to help other people out. But when we're so focused on a vision that's all about ourselves, then we might be successful in the world's eyes. We might make a lot of money. We might get to the goal that we had set out to accomplish with that vision. But we'll get there and we'll be empty. We'll feel so unfulfilled and unsatisfied. And that's my heart, that you don't experience that. I actually know a lot of people who have climbed the ladder or built businesses and made a lot of money. All the while, they have so much money and they've only used that money to serve themselves, buy expensive things, and at the end of the day, they're not fulfilled. They're not satisfied. They still feel empty inside, and that's the saddest thing. And so make sure that your vision is large and that you almost feel a little scared to pursue that vision. That's the sweet spot for you to walk by faith and not by sight, okay? So in closing, I just want to encourage you to take this week and think about what are the passions that God has given to you, things that fill up your cup, that put wind in your sails. Put those in front of you. And the other thing is to think about what are some potential visions for your life, callings that God has for your life. Think about those two things together and how you could use those two things to help other people, to bless other people, to bring God the most glory, and for you to experience a thriving life. That when you run the race that God has set before you, you say, I was made to do this, and I can't wait to continue to do this for the rest of my life. I'd love to connect with you. Please feel free to reach out to me in the comments or an email, and I'd love to be an encouragement to you. I'm praying for you. And again, my encouragement is that we pursue the call that God has for us and that He gives us the courage to walk into that call. Until next time, take care.